Growing up, was difficult at times, because we sometimes struggled financially. And my dad, it was up to him to raise us by himself. What I admire the most about my dad is he really persevered and pushed, through life and through obstacles. He really doesn't give up, and he always reminds us that what he does, it's, to keep us moving forward. After school, I would spend hours in the library studying. I didn't have internet at home. I had to go over to the McDonald's and finish up some homework. And I remember, looking up and seeing this poster in the lobby. It was about the HACER scholarship. So I applied. At first I felt, what are the odds? But then I remember my dad always saying, you have to push through. You have to have hope.
Wow. What an absolutely inspiring story. Every time, we've been doing this program for a couple of weeks now, and every time I see the video, I simply am inspired and completely blown away by it. It is so awesome to see Eric's story and his family and what they do. Listen, what's up? Welcome. Welcome to our virtual workshop series, part of the 2021 McDonald's HACER Scholarship Education Tour. We are so excited to have you here. You have no idea. Super excited to have you join us today. My name is Carlos Alberto Ojeda Torres Rivera de Jesus Jr., but you don't have to worry about that. You can call me Chu, because that's what my friend and family, and I'm your host for today. Now, we've got a lot of great stuff planned for you today, but specifically, I got to be honest. I don't know about you, but the hardest part of the college application process for me was the essay. It was a blur to me. It freaked me out. 100 words, 200 words, 500 words. It freaked me out. I didn't know what to do, right? I know I had a story. I know I had a story to tell, but I didn't know how to put pen to paper and create an essay out of it. Now, if you are like me, then this session is for you. And even if you're not like me and you are just awesome at writing essays and you just want to create an even better essay, guess what? Lucky for you, you're going to hear from a very special guest tonight who will be sharing some great tips and tricks to help you approach the essay writing from a different, unique perspective to help you make it award winning. All right. So, our workshop tonight will require some participation from you. So, be sure to activate the chat down below and engage with us. Ask questions, share. It's going to be awesome. Also, did I mention that there's going to be an opportunity to win some awesome prizes thanks to McDonald's? All right. Yes, you heard me right. We've got giveaways, all behalf of McDonald's here today. All right. So what do we got? We have $25 McDonald's Arch cards. All right. So you can get some papitas, some French fries, or whatever you like. Your favorite McDonald's meal, you can get it. Me, it's all about the French fries, the papitas with a little ketchup mayo. It's on the point. All right. But we're going to be giving away $25 gift cards, Arch cards today on this call. And we got McDonald's merch packs filled with awesome McDonald's swag. So, how do you win? I know that's what you're thinking. I think, yeah, I want to learn the essay stuff, but how do I get the prizes? Real simple. We've got two ways to enter. Number one, on the screen, you're going to see a QR code, right? Right over here. All right. You're going to see the QR code. You're going to pull out your phone. You're going to open up your app, all right, your photo app, and you're going to turn on the camera and you're going to hold your phone up to the QR code. You're going to scan it. You're going to follow the directions, and it's going to lead you to register to win. Your phone's going to recognize the QR code. It's going to pop up the notification. You click on that. You follow the steps and get in to win. All right? That's all you got to do. The second way, it's really simple. You're just going to text "I said more" to 866-213-5881. And you know what? We put that down below too. All right? So there's the QR code that you can use, right over here. And then you can also text "I said more" to 866-213-5881. 5881. All right. Winners are going to be chosen completely at random, and we want you to check your text messages because we're going to be letting you know if you won. All right. So you got to keep an eye on those text messages because we're going to shoot you out. Hey, you won, and how you can get your prize. All right. So, one last thing. In all of our sessions, we've been really big uh, about making this fun. All right, you're in school all day. Might be fun, might not be fun. All right, this is about having fun, about learning, about getting excited, getting inspired about the HACER scholarship, about the college application process, your journey for you and your family to educational success. That's what this is about. All right. So the last thing that we want you to remember to do is have fun. Activate that chat, engage us, connect, ask questions, and have fun. Now, it is my honor to bring to the virtual stage our special guest speaker. All right. He is a spoken word artist, but not just a regular spoken artist. He is the world champion of spoken word. This guy represented the United States, went to France, rocked the stage, and brought the World Cup of spoken word back to America. He is an award winning teacher, phenomenal teacher from Dallas, Texas. All right. Additionally, he's an author who just got done writing Dollars for Scholars, a book, step by step manual for young people to learn how to write college essays. That's why we have him here. But on top of that, he's an amazing brother and friend, an amazing husband, and an absolutely breathtaking father to two beautiful daughters. All right. And he's here sharing, taking time from his family, from his writing to be here with you. So throw some love in the chat, make some virtual noise, give all your attention, give all of your heart and soul to our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Joaquin Zihuatanejo.
Thank you, too. Thank you so much. Thank you, McDonald's. Thank you, Cool Speak. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here with you all tonight. Uh, it's the sun is setting in Dallas, Texas. It's a beautiful day, and I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are. And this is a virtual presentation, so some of you might be coming to me from all corners of the country. So just to do a chat test right now to make sure that your chat's working and that I can see your voices and I can hear your voices in the chat. Feel free to let me know in the chat right now where in the world you are. If you're coming from Kansas City, let me know in the chat your name and where you're coming to me, where you're listening from. If you're in Dallas, Texas, like me, let me know. If you're in some part of Florida, I'd love to know where you're listening from in the world, where you are in the world, because your voice matters, and that's what tonight's all about. We're going to talk about the word scholarship tonight, and particularly we're going to touch on the essay portion or the short answer portion that is usually a component of all of them. And yes, the HACER McDonald Scholarship does have a short response section. And before I say anything more, I want to make it crystal clear that some of those responses are a 100-word maximum, and one might be a 300-word maximum. Please make sure you are reading thoroughly for instructions, because if you're given 100 words, I want you to use as many as you can to answer the question thoroughly and completely. If you're given 300 words, I want you to use as many as you can to answer the question thoroughly and completely. One of the rules I always give my scholars is shoot for 25 shy of that word limit. Meaning, if you're given 100 words, don't write any less than 75. If you're given 300 words, try not to write any less than 250, 275, because that short statement, that's where you make your stand. That's where they see you not only as a scholar, but also as a human being. They come to know you, your struggle, your dream. And that's what this essay is about. That's what this personal statement's about. That's what this short response is about for the HACER McDonald Scholarship. So, before we dive into writing tonight, I want to prove to you that you have something to write about. So, let's do a quick write activity that I love to use to prove to scholars that they have something to say to the world, that you have something to write inside of you right now, just waiting to get out on the page. Because when I travel the country and I tour the country now virtually, sometimes young people often tell me, yo, Mr. Joaquin, Mr. Z, Mr. Sewataneo, that's me. I don't have anything to write about. And you are a senior in high school. You've had 18 summers and 18 winters and 18 falls. You have so much to write about. So I'll prove it to you right now with a quick write activity called 15 in less than 15. Let's do that. Okay. So we're going to come up with 15 topics, 15 themes that we might be able to use on the short response section for the McDonald's HACER scholarship. So here we go. There's this thing in writing called brainstorming. And brainstorming happens when you just sort of randomly throw words on the page that you can use as a jumping off point to write about. My brain doesn't work that way. I need a little more order in my chaos. So instead of randomly throwing words around on a page, let's create some order by coming up with possible short response idea lists. So we're going to create some idea lists. Here we go. Now, when I told you that we were going to be doing some writing today, so now is when you have that pen or pencil and that page, that notebook, that journal out to the side. Some of you might be using a tablet. Some of you might be using a phone beside your laptop. Whatever works for you. Tonight's about creating and writing in the best and most effective way that you can. Now, me, I'm old school, so I love pen to page. So I would have a paper and pen, but that's just me. Let's dive in. We're going to do some writing. The first idea list, I want you to write down the word people. And then I want you to number down 1, 2, and 3 underneath there. And now I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, to write down the names of 3 people that have had a significant impact on your life and shaped you as a scholar, a student, and a person. And you can write down their names or their identifiers. Like my mother's name is Maria. I wouldn't write down Maria for my ma. I'd write down Ma because that's what I call her. So you can write down their name or their identifier. You got about another 25 seconds if you're working on that. This is where you're thinking, you're processing, you're pontificating, and you're writing their name or their identifier. Another 10 seconds if you're still thinking. And by the way, tonight is about quality, not quantity. If you don't come up with 3 and you only come up with 2, that's fantastic. 2 great ideas right out the gate is amazing. All right, time's up. So here's what I want to do. Now I want you to simply put a little line after each person's identifier or name, and then I'm going to give you about 60 seconds. This is more time. And I want you to write down a phrase. It can be a whole sentence if you want, but it can be just a short phrase if you want that sort of tells me how that person influenced you. Again, just a few words, a phrase. If I wrote down my grandfather, my abuelo, I would say, he taught me the tricks of life in his garden. That's what I'd write down for my phrase. But it's entirely up to you. You have 60 seconds to write down a phrase you associate with each of those 3 people that tells us something about how they influenced you. Might be 5 words, might be 10. And if you don't have time to do all 3, don't worry, just get as much done as you can. Excellent work. Thank you all so much for writing so effectively so early. At any point during our session tonight, if you want to share one of your ideas in the chat, feel free. You can type in the person's name and the thought or phrase that came to mind for them about how they influenced your life as a student or as a leader or as a person. But now we have to move on to a second list. So let's skip a line and let's create a second idea list for a possible short response. And let's call this one places. Places, and number down 1, 2, 3 under the word places. And now, again, 30 to 40 seconds. And I want you to write down 3 places where you were either triumphant, where you had a victory, or where you had an obstacle, a challenge. And especially if it's an obstacle or a challenge that you overcame. That really interests me. So keep that in mind. A place where something amazing or triumphant happened, or a place where you had a challenge or an obstacle you had to overcome, especially if it's one that you overcame successfully. 30 seconds to think on that and write down 3 places of significance. Might be a big place like a city, or you could zoom in for a close-up, a particular building, particular tree, particular park, particular room. I had a student ask me, can my room be a place? Absolutely, your room is a great place. Keep thinking, keep writing. Another 5 or so seconds. Okay, same thing as before. A little line, a little hyphen after each one. And again, a phrase, a few words, 5 words, 10 words. It can be a sentence if you want it to be, whatever you have time for in 60 seconds, a thought of elaboration on what that place taught you about yourself, about leadership, about overcoming obstacles or challenges. This is a little bit of elaboration about what you learned when you were in that place, in that challenge. 60 seconds to elaborate with a thought or a sentence. Go. Another 20 seconds if you're still writing, still thinking. And again, quality, not quantity. If you just get 1 out of those 3 done, that's fantastic. Okay, let's skip a line. Let's create a new idea list. So let's title this one Credo. C-R-E-D-O. And we'll number down 1, 2, 3. And a credo is a word that you live by. So I want you to list down 3 words that you live by. And usually these are words that are really big in meaning, like kindness, trustworthiness, or fairness, or love, or faith, or respect. You get to choose the 3 words that you live your life by as a student and a person. Give you about 30 seconds to choose 3 powerful words that you live by. Go. No elaboration needed on this one. We'll come back to elaborate on this one. Now, let's skip a line. Create a new list. We'll call this one Some Days, not Someday, Some Days, because you're going to have many days in the future of greatness. And I want you to list down 1, 2, 3 under the word someday. And I want you to think of 3 accomplishments, 3 things you will become, 3 things you will achieve, 3 things that you will do, maybe in terms of your education, in terms of your professional career someday. 3 things that you will become or achieve or accomplish. And I want you to write those dreams down, because someday we will make it a reality. What are the 3 things you will achieve or become or do? You have 30 seconds to choose 3 dreams. Go. And again, if you want to put any of these responses in the chat, we'd love to read your thoughts and see what you have to say, especially when it comes to like these dreams that you have for yourself for the future. 10 more seconds if you're still thinking and writing. Now, if this activity was called 12 and less than 12, I think, we'd be done. But it's 15 and less than 15, so let's come up with a few more ideas that we can possibly pull from in the next session that we're going to meet with very soon. We're going to come back for a second part to this writing session. You're going to write down 3 numbers. Don't write them down yet. I don't want them to be your lucky numbers. It's a certain kind of number. Write down 3 numbers that correspond with a human age you have already been, where something important happened that year of your life. For instance, I would write down 1, 7, and 17. 1, because that's the year my dad left my mom and me, and he never came back. 7, because that's the year that I first told someone who asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I remember saying poet. That was the first time I ever called myself a poet, when I was age 7. And then 17, well, that's the year I met the person who would eventually become my wife. And we've been married a long time and have 2 beautiful daughters and a great life. So what are your 3 years? Maybe for you it's 5, 10, and 15. Maybe for you it's back to back, like 11, 12, and 13. I even had a student raise his hand one time and say, Mr. Z, can I put 10, 10, and 10? And I said, yeah, but why? And he said, man, 10 was a heck of a year. Whatever you have to do to get those 3 numbers down, feel free. Okay? 3 ages where you've been, where something important happened. Maybe it was an accomplishment. Maybe it was an obstacle you overcame. Maybe it was a move. Maybe it was an award you won. Another 20 seconds if you're still thinking. Now, everything we have been doing is called the pre-write work, the brainstorming session before the short response begins. We've proven to ourselves we have something to say. We have something to write. Now, when we come back after this quick break we're about to take, we're going to take these thoughts, these ideas, and we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts that go into writing an effective short response. So I challenge you to keep those notes that you just took handy. Have them right by the computer, right by the tablet, so that you can come back after our quick break and write with me. But we're going to take a short break right now because my main man with a master plan, Carlos Ojeda Jr., Choo Choo himself, is going to come back and give us some information we need and maybe even do a giveaway. We'll see. Let's turn it back over to Choo.
Joaquin, I've been writing, brother. I don't know if they could see, but I'm writing. I love the tips. I love this activity. It's my favorite way to get the juice, the creative juices flowing, way to get some ideas on paper. And I'm super excited for what he's about to do next. We're going to put some music, going to get some writing. But before then, I want to remind everybody prizes. All right, we got $25 arch cards so that you can buy your favorite McDonald's meal. Means or I like papitas with vanilla milkshake, and yes, this is crazy, but I like dipping my fries in the milkshake. Yes, it's crazy. It might make you want to leave and turn it off. Don't do that. All right, stay with us. But that's what I like to do. You get to do whatever you want to do with the $20 arch card if you get it. All right. And we also have swag and the merch packs. All you have to do is either scan this QR code right here. All right. All you got to do is scan the QR code to get in or text I said more to 866-213-5881 right here, right at the bottom. Just text to win. All right. We're going to notify you. All right. When we get, but via text if you win. So make sure you do it. You're getting all this amazing information. Might as well get a prize while you're at it. Now, I'm super excited to see what we're going to take, all the things, all the notes that we wrote down, all these ideas we had. I'm really excited to see where Joaquin's going to take it. But I'm also excited because I don't know if you know this, but the McDonald's HACER Scholarship does not have an essay, but it has short response questions involved. And as someone who serves on the committee and gets to read these applications, I will tell you the short responses are incredibly important because they will give the individuals on the scholarship committee a better vision of who you are. All right. Your story has power. And the way you answer those responses will share your narrative with us and give us a clear picture of who you are, who you want to be, and why you're deserving of the scholarship. And here's the thing, Joaquin's got some amazing tips that he's going to share next to help you with those questions and also to help you write better essays. So, you know what? Stop messing with me. Let's get back to Joaquin. Joaquin, hit him with that knowledge, brother.
Welcome back to my session, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cool Speak. Thank you, McDonald's. Thank you, McDonald's HACER Scholarship, for having me be a part of this event tonight. It's an honor to be with you all tonight. And just to echo what you said, when I was writing my book, Dollars for Scholars, I got to travel around the country and have conversations with people who are on scholarship selection committees. And the number one question that I really had for them was, what is it? What's that one thing that puts one student to the top of the pile that makes you say, we have to give her, we have to give him, we have to give them some money, a scholarship? And every single person I talked to had the exact same response. They said to me, Joaquin, they're all deserving because they're all astonishing and they're all good scholars and they're trying hard and they're involved in their community. But the thing that puts them over the top is the essay, the personal statement, or the short response. This is where they see who you are as a scholar, but also as a dreamer, as a human, as a person. So that's why these short responses are so important. Now, keep in mind with the McDonald's HACER Scholarship, they're going to be challenging you to write about someone in your life who had a significant impact on your life. They're going to be challenging you to write about a moment of leadership and where that took place and what you learned from it, how you grew from it. They're going to be challenging you to write about an obstacle or a challenge that you overcame. They're going to be challenging you to write about a word that you live by, one of those large words. So why was I prompting you with the prompts I was earlier? Because this is how you're going to respond to the HACER Scholarship short responses, exactly along those themes. So you're already halfway there. Now we have to get the words on the page. So let's reset my clock here. We were using 30 seconds, 90 seconds to write in the first session. No, we're going to get down to some work here. So I'm going to actually set my stopwatch for 6 minutes of writing. My main man Chu might play some music, and if you'd like to write to music, feel free to listen in while you're writing. But if you want to, turn the music down for a moment so you can concentrate on the writing, whatever works best for you as a writer. And here's what I want you to do. This is what I want you to write about. Remember those 3 years that you wrote down earlier? Maybe it was like 5, 12, and 13, or whatever those 3 numbers were for you. Circle the one most alive with image and memory and story right now. You circle it. So if I was going to choose between my 3 numbers, 1, 7, and 17, I've been thinking a lot today about my Theo, my uncle, who asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up someday? And I answered, poet. I've been thinking about him a lot and what I learned from him and what he taught me about what it is to be a good leader, to be a good student. So I think I would write about the number 7, that 7th year and my experiences with my uncle and what I learned from him. So now for you, I want you to zone in on that year and even go closer to a moment, a memory in which you learned something about leadership, in which you learned something about yourself, in which you learned something about the significance of education. And I want you to write about that victory, or that obstacle, or that challenge, or that accomplishment, whatever it might be. And I want you to try and capture as much detail as you can. Write vividly, literally paint a picture with your words. Paint a picture with your words so that we can see the image come to life in your paragraph. How much should you write? You only have 6 minutes. I guess I would shoot for 6 to 8 sentences, something like that. Okay? If you write a little more, that's fine. If you write a little less, that's fine too. Just write what you can in the time that you have. You have 6 minutes. Go. If you're just signing on, we're spending 6 minutes writing silently about one moment in our life that taught us something about leadership, about education, about ourselves. Paragraph of 6 to 8 sentences where you elaborate in great detail. Keep writing. Okay, scholars, we're halfway there. 3 minutes down, 3 minutes to go. Keep writing about that moment that shaped you, that changed you, that inspired you. This is your 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left. Keep writing. Last minute. Let's dig deep and finish strong. Let's write up until the very end. "30 seconds left. Final sentence, final phrase, final thought. Start working that way. This isn't the end of the essay, the end of the response, just the end of what we have time for. And time. That is 6 minutes of solid writing and thinking, processing. Just imagine what you could do with 60. So, I want you to do me a favor right now. Maybe your paragraph was 4 sentences, or maybe your paragraph or your short response was 8 sentences. I want you to go back and very quickly scan it. Just very quickly read it. And as you're reading it, I want you to find something. Find what you think is the best sentence and underline it. So take about 30 or 40 seconds to quickly read your short response and underline the strongest sentence in the response. It could be for any reason. Maybe you just like it the most. Maybe you think it has the best diction or word choice. Maybe you think it has the best verb. It's entirely up to you. But underline the best sentence. Now, I want to put a sentence in the chat, just so you can get your eyes on it. When I travel around the country, I teach this essay in a workshop, and it's what we call the Costco essay. It's about this going to a grocery store that this young Latinx teenager wrote to win a scholarship, and what she learned at that grocery store about life and what it taught her about how to be a good student. And this is the sentence that I want to share with you all. If I put it in the chat now, but I'm going to read it aloud. Managing to break free from my mother's grasp, I charged. I bet if I challenged Brittany, the young Latinx student who wrote this essay, to underline what she thought was the best sentence in the paper, she might underline this one, because it's the first sentence. And in this first sentence, it's our first impression. It's like that initial moment when you shake someone's hands for the first time and look them in the eye and meet someone. The first sentence is where the reader meets you for the first time. And that's why the first sentence is so important. But I want you to look at one thing in particular inside her sentence. I want you to look at her verbs. The verb is the life force of the language. It's what we do. It's how we live. It's how we love. The verb is 10 times more important than the noun. 20 times more important than the adjective, 100 times more important than the preposition. And don't get me started on adverbs. The secret to great writing is in the verbs. These are her verbs: managing, break, charge. These are 3 active and passionate verbs. And you want your verbs in your short response to be active and passionate, to have your voice and your passion behind them. So we want to avoid the common linking simple verbs, and we want to embrace the active, passionate verbs. Now, I don't have a lot of time left, but I want to leave you with some absolute amazing tips that I want to give you to walk away with. So here are a few tips for writing an effective short response. Number 1, have a great first sentence. Again, that's where they meet you for the first time as a reader. That's where they see you for the first time as a human in person. So make sure that first sentence is great. I sometimes have my students write 3 possible first sentences and choose the best one, or combine those into one great one. Number 2, check your verbs. Again, the verb is the life force of the language. It's what makes great writing great. So use active and passionate verbs. Number 3, remember the prompts, the short response prompts for the McDonald's HACER scholarship. You might be challenged to write about an obstacle and how you overcame it. You might be challenged to write about a person who taught you something significant. You might be challenged to write about leadership, what that means to you. And you might be challenged to write about one word that you live by. Make sure if you're given 100 words that you're using 75 or 80 to answer it thoroughly. If you're given 300 words, make sure you're using 250, 275 to answer it thoroughly. And the last piece of advice that I give every young writer I meet: proofread, proofread, proofread. It's not done when you type the last period, the last punctuation. No. After it's done, you read it back. You spell check. You have a second set of eyes read it, and they can give you some feedback on it. You have a third set of eyes, a mentor or a teacher read it. They can give you some feedback on it. So that before you hit that enter, that submission button, you're submitting the very best essay that you can. To close, if anyone has a question for me about the essay writing section or the short response section of the McDonald's HACER scholarship, I'd love to answer it now. If you have a question for me, feel free to throw it up in the chat, or Chu's monitoring some things as well, and Chu can chime in if a student gives a question that they want me to answer. Feel free. But I want to thank you all for writing, for believing in this process. And I want to thank CoolSpeak for letting me be a small part of this event. And I have to thank McDonald's and the McDonald's HACER scholarship, because they are making some young people's dreams come true. They are changing lives with this scholarship. And that's what this is about, changing lives. Well, my name is Joaquin Cihuateneo, and it has been an absolute honor to be with you tonight. I hope you keep writing, And I hope you start thinking about the McDonald's HACER scholarship. Don't let that deadline that's early next year fool you. It'll be here before you know it. Try and get this thing done in the next week, next 6 weeks, next few weeks. How, the quicker you submit, the quicker it's behind you. I believe it opened up in October 20th, and I believe that deadline's in early February. So you might think you have a lot of time, but let's get cracking now. Let's get to work. Let's get our submission in, and let's make those short responses amazing. Thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your night.
Joaquin, give it up for Joaquin. Joaquin, absolutely amazing, brother. Thank you for sharing those tips. And the crazy thing is that they seem common sense, but still incredibly difficult for young people to master, even adults to master. So thank you very much. I know my son is in the other room. He said he wasn't going to hop on, but he's like, look, I'm going to leave it on and listen. I'm going to be on the next session to really write because he had a college visit today. He was
Wow.
visiting colleges, checking it out, and he's working on his essay. So he's really crafted it. We've got a couple questions, Joaquin, on the chat. The first one is, I get nervous sharing. I'm trying to see who this is. Don Ray. I get nervous sharing. Sharing. Who should I share my essay with?
That's
So
a
I guess this person
fantastic
gets
question.
really nervous.
That's
Yeah.
a fantastic question. And to offset that nervousness, choose a comfortability factor. If you have a friend who you know is a strong reader and a strong writer and supportive, go to that friend and ask them to read your essay. And that can be your first set of second eyes that gets on that paper and offers you some feedback. But then I got another challenge for you, and that's find a mentor. For some people, that's a teacher. For others, it's a counselor at school. For others, it's even an administrator at school. For others, it's a family member that they know is intelligent, well thought out, and well read. Find that adult set of eyes that you can get on as well. These people aren't rewriting your paper, rewriting your short response. They're just offering you feedback, editorial advice to make it as strong as it possibly can be. But start with a comfortability factor. Find that friend, find that mentor, begin there.
Yeah, it's important, and it's also important to get as many people to read it, right? You want as many
Absolutely.
people as possible to give you difference of opinions and different aspects. So as many people can read, which can sometimes make people very, very nervous when they're sharing
Absolutely.
that. But it is important. Now, Joaquin, we have another question in the chat, but I've got a question. All right.
Yes, please.
Um, One thing that I've noticed that young people are doing, especially with the advent of so many of these scholarships going online because of the pandemic. So you're pretty much just filling out the application where you used to grab a pen and paper and have to write it or type it up and submit in a package. Most people are doing it online. And what I find a lot of students doing is using these two thumbs to write their essays. That can lead into trouble, right? Because you might mispronunciation, miscapitalization, run-on sentence. It's kind of tough. How do students avoid, getting caught up in texting a response as opposed to writing a response?
I used to be a coach for a youth poetry team, and I had a rule on my team, and that rule was if you go on stage to read a poem, you can either have it memorized or you can read it from a page, but you cannot read it from a phone because a phone has a battery, and if that battery dies, you're left on that stage with nothing, with no thoughts, no ideas. And those traps are starting to happen now with the scholarship application process. My advice to young writers and young thinkers is get to a tablet, get to a computer so you have a larger keyboard and you don't fall back on the default of a built-in automatic emoji insertion factor because you're using so many shortcuts, so many shorthands, so many emojis that they're actually starting to default into what you're typing. And remember, when we're typing a scholarship application, young scholars, a short response, like for something as amazing as a McDonald's HACER scholarship, you want to use complete sentences. You want those sentences to be well thought out, to be well spelled out, to have grammatically correct language in them, because we simply cannot use shorthand and we simply cannot use emojis. We have to type and respond as though we're responding to a teacher, a college someday college professor. We want your best sentence, your best words in the best possible places.
Awesome. Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you. Last question from the chat.
Please.
How do you know what a great sentence is? Whew. Oh, see, I'm one of those people that's like, you know when you see it, but that's probably not the answer they're looking for, right? Susana is asking that. Joaquin, how do they know they got a great sentence?
Susanna, here's how I know it's a great sentence. Find someone you trust, someone who believes in you and that you believe in them, and you read your response aloud to them. But as you're reading it, kind of occasionally lift your head and get a good look at their eyes. And when you see their eyes lift up, and you see their face kind of like glow and respond, that's where the good stuff is. That's where the magic sentences are. And then you can also read it back to yourself sometimes on your own. I know it sounds crazy, but I read things aloud to myself in my office to check the sonic quality, the sound of them. So feel free to read your essay, your short response aloud, and you'll hear the music, you'll hear the poetry, you'll hear the greatness inside the sentence, and you'll know when you're onto something great.
Yeah. And sometimes it's good to read other essays, not to mimic, not to copy, but to get a feel, because when you read a great sentence, you're like, wow, you see those examples, and they might inspire you and your writing by reading someone else's inspired writing, right? That's a good way, a
Absolutely.
good tip for me.
And Shu,
Awesome.
another question I always get asked is how do I overcome writer's block? Or if I'm stuck and I don't know what to write, the best advice I give young people for that, Shu, is to read. Read great books, read great work, read great essays, read great news articles. The more you're around words, the better you'll get with them.
Yeah. Joaquin, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. These are
Absolutely.
gems, jewels, wonderful inspiration, motivation, and tips to help our young scholars find the inspiration, bringing their words to paper, and creating wonderful stories that empower them on their path to getting a scholarship, hopefully the aesthetic scholarship. I'd like to thank everybody that was on. I'd like to thank Alexander and Natalie, our sign language interpreters, because they rolling with us. All right, they deserve. You know what? You're right. We're going to say thank you because they rocking out with us, and we want to hear from you. Let us know how we did. All right. If you fill out the evaluation, I will send you from CoolSpeak a book. You will get an electronic version of the Getting Gear College Readiness book that me and Ernesto, the other partner in crime with the McDonald's Asset Tour, that we wrote. You will get a free electronic version. All you got to do is fill out the evaluation. Let us know how we did. We want to hear from you so that we can make this program better. On behalf of McDonald's, on CoolSpeak, the Aesthetic Scholarship, thank you for attending. And if you enjoyed this, guess what? We got more coming. We got tons of these. All right. So listen, we've got a parent workshop in November. All right. November 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That parent program will be en español. So para los padres que quieren aprender sobre la beca y los recursos para los estudios, November 3rd. For the parents that want to learn, come on through. We have student workshops November 16th, all right, and January 19th at 1 p.m. We've got an educator workshop for staff November 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. And me and Joaquin, we coming back. We've got two essay writing workshops November 4th, all right, 7 p.m. Central, and January 20th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you enjoyed this and want to come back, if you want to get some more tips, maybe you'll take some of Joaquin's tips, write a little, come back, bring what you wrote, share it with us, and we'll give you even more tips on that. But thank you
Absolutely.
all for attending. Joaquin, thank you for spending the day with us. Thank you for everyone that does this. Can't wait to see you at the other session. Have a wonderful night.